I'm going to start by saying that this week I actually attended another event, and actually I don't know if Jeff Bogart is still here. One of your colleagues from Coldwell Banker, Michael Panisi, who used to be my manager when I was at CB, did a presentation, and he talked about the difference between cows and buffaloes. And in the context of a storm, right, and there's all of media every day is telling us that there is a storm coming. So, do you handle it like a cow or a buffalo? And he made the analogy, or he kind of went into the scientific story of how cows respond to storms. And what they do is that when they see a storm coming, they start running away from it. And then when the storm catches up to them, they continue running along with it. And so it just prolongs the pain, and they just, so that's how cows handle it. Buffaloes, on the other hand, run towards the storm, and they face it head on, and just a completely different, frame of mind. So today, for our top producer panel, I thought I would invite some buffaloes for you. I'm honored that you guys accepted my invitation to come here today and share, so thank you. So I'm going to start by having you guys just kind of go down the line and introduce yourself, the company that you're with, and the market that you serve.
Hi, everyone. My name is, thank you. Projection. My name is Gary Martin. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway in Montclair. I've been an agent for about 10 years. I serve primarily Montclair, Glen Ridge, Bloomfield, West Orange, but mostly I focus on the south end of Montclair, and that's because no one else in Montclair does. More on that later.
Interesting. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sonia Margalev, and I am with Compass Real Estate here in the Short Hills office. And I've been an agent for the last, let me think about it, about 3-4 years. I'm still learning. I serve Milburn, Short Hills, Livingston, pretty much, I would say, a radius of about 10 miles from here that has a lot of very good, schools and great, commuting options for my clients.
And price points.
And price points as well.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Janie Carlucci. I lead the Boss team. I was with David Realty Group, and very recently I moved over to Compass of Short Hills. But I live in Westfield. I do most of my business in Westfield, Scotch Plains, Cranford. I get pulled into Summit, Madison, and Chatham quite a bit. I used to live in Madison, so I end up working with a lot of clients who are, New Jersey train towns, and I find that my niche is sort of like the luxury buyer or seller. And then I love mentoring. So I started building a team, and I started taking a lot of my other leads and giving them to those team members and starting to fill out some markets because my goal is to build in other markets, not just where I am. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. Amanda Nadia Abdel Sayed. I am out of Keller Williams in Morristown, but I serve the whole North Jersey region, focusing primarily on the New York City suburbs. So this is a relationship business, and I go wherever my clients are.
Hey, everybody. My name is Dean Clark with the Dean Clark Group at RE/MAX on the Hudson. I am based out of Hoboken and Jersey City, primarily. So anything Hudson County based. That's what our team does. We have 3 agents on it right now, and we're staffed with ISAs as well as a lot of assistants, so we're building it out. Yeah. 12 years in the business. Sorry.
Hi, guys. How are you? My name is Mike Martinetti. I've been in the business for 5 years now. I run a small team, and I primarily do the lower price points. I do like Union County, but Union, that's where I'm from. So I just kind of tapped into that, and it's kind of got me to where I am now. That's pretty much it.
Great, thank you. So I guess the first question I'm going to have you guys go down the line and answer is that there are certain things that that agents don't do, that top producers do. And in your case, what are those things that bring you success?
I would say right off the bat.
Just gonna, yeah. Thanks.
Listening. Listening, it's a small thing that makes a huge difference. There's so many agents that want to tell you so much about themselves, and I do this, and I sell there, and I do this. I flip it around, and I always ask questions to prospective clients about themselves, about why they bought the house to begin with. When they ask me in for a listing presentation, what was it that made you fall in love with this house? I use that as a marketing tool when we go to put the house on the market. It's little things like that that make such a huge difference, because after that great presentation about and all the social media and stuff, we have to remember this is a person-to-person business. We have to meet face-to-face. We have to be on our game about what we do, but we also have to listen to people, whether they're 20-somethings or they're 85-year-olds, because it makes a huge difference between getting the listing and not getting the listing.
Yeah. Good point. And in that vein, I would also add that, coming from a mindset of contribution, of really, like you said, listening to their needs, to what they want, what they need, but also providing information that is relevant to them, that is really like I believe very much in the power of education. I mean, to me, it's very important to have clients that are very educated in terms of what their options are, what the market is, what they're doing. After all, it's really the most important decision, one of the most important financial decisions in their lives, right? So you want to be there as their advisor, and you want to really provide that advice and that guidance that I think is very, very important.
I think it's always doing what's best for the client and not chasing the money, but chasing the solution. What is their real need? Really listening to that and making sure that you are attending to that. Because if you do that, the rest of the transaction takes care of itself, the referrals come, and your network starts to build.
So I try to meet my client where they are and relate to them on the level that they're at. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with a DISC profile. If someone is a high D, they're a driver, they're very decisive. I'm not going to bring all of the details because I know that they want to make a quick decision. On the other aspect, if they're a high I, they're very interactive. I'm going to do everything I can to build rapport with them. And I'm going to carry that along through the whole transaction, keeping that in mind that I want to match their style and mirror them so that they build that confidence and that trust in me, that we're building that relationship and rapport, not just in the beginning when we meet, but throughout the whole transaction.
Nice. Yeah, I think that for at least our organization, what we've built is that I tell my team, everyone that asks, is that to me, it comes down to one simple thought, and that is the quantity and the quality of the conversations that you have. And the more that you ask and the more conversations, like what's going to separate like the top producers and anyone who's aspiring to be a top producer going forward into this market. And I don't know when everyone has started in their career. I started in the recession. And the more the agents that are going to succeed at the highest level are going to have the most conversations in a given day. But it's going to come down to the quality of the actual conversations that you have. And that's to me, the most successful trait that you can have.
The three things that I would say have gotten me to where I am so quickly would be organizational skills, being purposeful with my time, and then really working my sphere. I never realized how big my sphere was until I actually got in the business. I was a gym teacher in Newark. So I just had my kids who are not buying houses. And then I started just buying houses myself. And once I realized how big my sphere actually was, and I started to tap into it, I would say probably half my salary is literally from my friends and family. And then I'm extremely purposeful with my time. I'm sure all of you had that client that sends you 15 houses on Zillow and they want to see them. But then they just told you 5 minutes ago they want a 3 to 4 bedroom between 4 to 500,000, and half those houses are 250 and they don't want to do work, or some of them will be 600,000, and then you show them all 15 houses. Like when my team tells me that, it drives me nuts. So I get 15 and I look at every single one of them and I say, okay, 2 of them are probably actually something that they'd be interested in. So I tell them the other 13 are under contract. and then I'll show them those 2 houses. And then once I show them the 2 that I think they're going to like, it saves all that time instead of wasting 5 hours of your day showing 13 out of 15 houses that you know they're not going to buy. So, and it's also educating them that, right? Like I'll first tell them, look, you're not going to buy these because it's not what you just described. And they're going to say, I want to see it anyway. And then at that point, if you let them control the whole transaction, you're now their puppet instead of you driving when you're the expert. And people are scared to lose a client. Have I lost clients like that? I'm sure I have. But out of 100, if I close 95 of them, those 5 are wasting other agent's time for 2-3 years to get that one commission check instead of you being able to sell 10, 15. I do volume, so that's my play. Like I'm unfortunately not in the luxury market. So for me, I do volume. Like we'll do just hundreds of transactions, but at a smaller price point. So that's what I would recommend. So hopefully that helps in some way.
Right. It's still very early in your career. You've only been here 5 years.
Yeah.
Give yourself some time.
Yeah, so
Hang on to the microphone. We're going to kind of go back down this way. I'm gonna ask you guys, what are some of the strategic partnerships that you've formed that bring you leads and referrals?
Okay. So for me, I do a lot of donating because I am very heavily driven in like one specific town. So I donate to everything. I don't care what it is. It could be like someone's birthdays for their child and I'll donate to it. And then I also tried to put myself in a position where everyone that works with me needs me more than I need them. So like my lenders, my attorneys, my home inspectors, I try to make sure that I have the upper leverage so that I'm able to get better pricing. I'm able to get them to do things that helps the client, because those are things that make you stand out versus we all can do the same thing. There's not one thing that I can do that none of you in this room can do. So it's those little things that you can do that help you sell yourself. And then people are gonna be like, oh, this guy's great. He's got this, he's got that, he's got this. And then I have electricians, plumbers, HVAC guys. Those are all things that'll make you stand out, that it's important that you have, because people think I'm just gonna walk into a house and sell a house. That's not how it works. You have to provide value. So that's what I would say.
That's actually great. That's a great point, actually. And to also Jeff's point, who's on stage right now, about the database. I mean, if you're not working your database, like that is the number one thing you can work. And for us, if we broke it down, 51% of our business out of 100 deals is coming from our database, but of that, referral base is actually agent referrals. And I don't know how many other agents that are actually here that work actual agents. That is a huge source for us, because look, we're in Hoboken, Jersey City. It's a city market, more urban. So there's a lot of transactions happening all at once. And I think that's the biggest thing that we really focused on, is one of our biggest sources that has helped us out.
For me, I've always just focused on my own personal skill set, and I'm a very interactive person, and I like face-to-face communication. So I invest pretty heavily in BNI networks, professional networks. I'm surrounded by other professionals that the whole point of these networks is to refer each other business. So I've gotten a lot of business from the BNI networks and a ton of business from social media. So that's kind of how I started in this industry before social media was like the hit thing. I was broke and had no money to market. So social media marketing was the cheapest and had the biggest reach, and I've just stuck with it.
I would agree with that. So most of my leads have come from social media, through my Instagram, creative content, making sure that I'm engaging with people, DMing people. And then I would also say I do a lot of print advertising, but I make sure that I have a really solid relationship with whoever I advertise with, so that they are referring me, introducing me to other people that advertise to those sources, because they're not realtors, they're people in other businesses that understand that they are making an investment in hope of getting leads back. And so there's a lot of cross referrals going on, and when I engage in an advertising relationship.
So for me, also it's been referrals, mainly from my sphere of influence. I basically interact with them. I use kind of like a multi-platform approach, whereby I will see a lot of them on social media, on the different Facebook, Instagram platforms, LinkedIn, but I also interact with them on via phone calls, text messaging, emails, very targeted emails, so that I know that I am pretty much in touch with them on a very regular basis. And I'm always top of mind when someone they know, or even themselves, if they have any needs, they'll say, oh my God, I just thought about, someone that I talked to the other day, I want to introduce that person to you. So yeah.
Great.
I would have to say that as much as social media is a good thing, I have to think outside the box. And this is what really has brought me a lot of work. And that is focusing on a generation of people who don't use social media. There are people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who aren't on Twitter or Facebook or TikTok, or they don't understand that stuff. They don't care. They were raised without that stuff. So I focus on those people by handwritten postcards, by hand-typed letters that is printed out at my office that I hand deliver out to their little mailboxes and let them know what has sold around the neighborhood. I tell you what, that is a huge deal, because that's a whole bunch of people that people tend to overlook. There's a whole generation of people out there that are not on social media. Get them. Grab that group. That's a whole group of people, and it has been hugely successful in taking that. I mean, it's not to say I don't do social media. I do. It's just I like to think outside the box, and that has really blossomed big time.
Great. Well, I was going to say, because you do a lot of social media. I'm always seeing you kicking ass in Montclair. So,
I do.
All right. Next question. We'll go back down this way. How do you stay accountable? And, is that through a business coach, a mentor? Tell us, what are your...
How do I stay accountable? Yikes. I mean, it's something that's in me that makes me want to get up every morning and actually do what I love doing. I do like to throw a lot of stuff off of my wife, who is kind of like real estate wannabe, but she works for JP Morgan. So I just like to bounce a lot of stuff off of her. But she gives me a lot of feedback on stuff that may or may not be the way to go. And instead, she might give me a little some stuff that I've never have thought about. I also like to bounce a lot of stuff off of my broker, Jane Conselman at Berkshire Hathaway. Woohoo! She also really helps. And even a decade into this business, it's always good to bounce ideas off of people like that. And to a lesser extent, fellow agents, just to kind of hear what they would have to say. So, I mean, in that sense, that's my accountability that way.
Okay, so for me, accountability, two things. One is I'm a very visual person, so I like to write things down and see them, and that kind of makes me feel like, especially when I write it down, I internalize it, and then I see it in front of me every single day. I have a very big whiteboard where I write every Sunday. I try to go through the exercise and say, okay, what's happening next week? What am I going to do? What are my priorities? What do I need to follow up with? Who, etc. So everything that I'm planning to do for the next week, I put that there. How many appointments? How many phone calls? Everything. So it's in front of me, and every single day I'm staring at it. So that for me has been the best way to stay accountable with myself. Otherwise, if it's like, out of sight, out of mind, I forget, I don't know. And then the other thing also is my broker. My broker is really amazing. She really is my sounding board, my strategic partner. She helps me. But the one thing that really is like, most important is my whiteboard.
I think for me, it's knowing what motivates me. I am allergic to routine. I am like a 0 on the C on the DISC profile. It's one of the reasons I moved brokerages, because as I built a team, I started realizing, even though I don't need a system and platform, I know my team does, and I went somewhere where that existed. But I'm motivated by solving people's problems. And writing things down, because I too am visual. So my planner doesn't have appointments. It literally has people's names every day and like maybe what their problem is that I'm trying to solve, or I phrase it that way because it motivates me. And then I make sure that I just tackle that and focus on those people, and I have them scheduled throughout my week.
I think having a team holds you accountable when you know that other people's livelihood is dependent on you. So that definitely holds me accountable every morning and at night. I think also my own personal goals, being accountable to my own goals, setting them yearly, checking in with them monthly, and then having those weekly benchmarks with myself personally and with the team kind of holds us all accountable. And one more thing, at least for me, my reputation holds me accountable. So I know if I don't do a good job, your reputation precedes you, and that's kind of like my self-accountability.
Nice, yeah. For me, it's pretty simple. My mom does 150 deals a year for the last 5 years, and she's sitting right there. But yeah, that's what holds me accountable. We have a family real estate thing going, so the competition is very fierce in the family. But also, I really believe this, and I learned this early on, thank God, which is proximity is power. So who you're around, it is, I will tell you this, Gary Vee talks about it, is that who your 5 friends are around, whether they're agents, your family, your friends that you have back at home, whatever, if you're not around those 5 people, 10 people that are doing things at the next level for you, then you will always average out to what those 5 people accumulatively are doing, right? And so I have 2 coaches. One of them is Mike Ferry, another one is another coach from the outside, and I just pack it in, and I just keep on holding myself. I want more people to just keep on, being dependent on me and having that responsibility. And the more responsibility you have, there's no more accountability than that, so.
Yeah, I'm a unique individual. I've never had a coach. I've really never had anything at all besides my own motivation. So for me, I come from a sports background. So to me, I look at every single agent, and I'm a numbers freak. So I look at them, and if I see anyone that sells more houses than me, that then motivates me to sell more. That's the honest truth. And what I'll do is, the way that I look at it, to touch what Amanda said, I do have a team, and I have pushed many of them to quit their jobs. So I feel solely responsible to make sure that they're making 6 figures, to make sure that their investment in me is worth it. So every time I go on a listing appointment, I make sure that I know and I'm prepared, because if I get the listing, yes, I'm going to make money, but I'm not motivated by money at all. I don't care about money. My goal was just to double my teaching salary. So that was my true goal, and I would have been very happy. So I look at the listing opportunity not as, okay, I'm going to sell a house, but that's going to give an opportunity to somebody to do an open house, to pick up clients. And if you guys price your houses out right, open houses are huge. We've sold 29 houses from January till now from doing open houses. So I really just have my own competition with myself. And I wish there was a true stat where I could see where individually everyone sells houses, so I can motivate myself more than I already do. But that's pretty much it. You have to really want it, because you are all business owners. So it's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And if you're motivated by money, you're going to fail. Majority of good agents are probably not motivated by money. Obviously, everybody likes money, but that can't be your number one motivation. And if it is, you're not going to do what's best for the client. If you don't do what's best for the client, you're going to affect your ability to get referrals. And if you don't build a referral base, you're not going to grow. It's really simple. So.
Thank you.
I went off topic, sorry.
No, and I would agree that most of you are not motivated by money, but more motivated by the responsibility and the pleasure of serving others and your clients, and that's what brings you success. So I'm going to open it up to if anybody in the audience has 2 questions, or if anybody on the panel is compelled to share anything else, on this topic that they want to. Share with the audience, then just raise your hand. Gabriella. How was your first year of being an agent?
So my first 2 months, my mom actually didn't want me to do it. I'm Italian. I'm an only child. I was a mama's boy. I was still living at home at the time. So that was already motivation, because if you tell me I'm not going to do something, I'm going to do everything I can to do it. And then I'm going to try to do the best that I can. So my first 2 months, I didn't do anything. And I was like, oh my God, I just quit my job. I was going to be tenured. Literally, I had to go to school for 1 day, and I had job security for the rest of my life, but I didn't want that. So it was tough. And I was offering people 25% of my 50% split for their knowledge. And then I realized nobody gave me their knowledge. So I said, if I ever learn this business, I know I could be good at it. In the last 10 months, I sold 37 houses. I did 13.1 million. How did I do it? it was a combination of Zillow leads, which were much better then than they are now, a lot cheaper. So yes, I do advertise on Zillow, but I'm pretty much at like a break even, and that's me paying 50% of my bill. So I don't know if that would necessarily be the smartest thing to do, but it was a combination of that. I was on a team, so I was able to ask questions just to try to learn. And then really just trying to use social media. I was terrible at it. I'm still terrible at it. Even though I'm young, I'm not good at it, but I try. So now I hired somebody, so it's a little different, but still not that good. It's tough. I mean, it's your first year, right? Like I think mindset goes into it as well. Like if you go into it, you have to know that knowledge is power, which is why you're all here. The more that you can learn, the more that you can implement, I think the better it is, but it's tough. You know, I was extremely fortunate that I timed it right. I was 26 at the time, so I had a lot of my friends that were just about to start to buy houses. Yeah, I don't know. Did I answer the question? I did, right? Okay.
Anybody else want to answer that?
What was the question again, actually? How many houses you selling first year? First year, I think I don't even know how many I sold. I think I made like 13,000. You know, I mean, there was more of the dollars. I mean, there was no way of, like, I couldn't source anything. I didn't know what to do. I've been doing it for 12 years now. But I would tell you that, I mean, the one thing, any new agents, if you want to just know, like, anything that I would commit, any new agent even coming onto the team, we have an onboarding process, and I put everyone through a 90-day ISA program. What that is an inside sales associate program. So what you're doing is you're on the phones. You don't meet any clients. Don't even pick up the phone of like meeting us. You know, you're booking appointments for the team lead and also the team members. The reason we do it that way is because if you're not comfortable on the phone talking to clients, you're not going to be comfortable answering a Zillow lead. You're not going to be comfortable answering a Sphere lead, someone that comes in. Because if you don't know what to say and how to say it, I can guarantee you your progress and success in this business is going to be very limited over the next year, 2 years, because as this market changes, if you don't know, when someone asks you today and you call an expired and you don't know how to answer the simple question is, well, the market's bad, so we're not going to sell now. If you don't have a muscle memory response to that, you're not going to be successful. And so we teach them what to say, and that is everything that we train, scripts and dialogues. And so that would be the one thing I would tell anyone first year in the business is learn what to say, how to say it, have a structure, have a system and a plan, and prospect your rear off to go get clients. Yeah.
So my first full year in business, I did 20 million. And how I did that, I would say, was basically, when I got my real estate license, it wasn't necessarily to be a real estate agent, but it was because I wanted to flip houses. So I went to every single real estate networking investment group in all of New Jersey, and was trying to learn as much as possible. In that time, I also needed to make money because I was starting from zero. So I went up to builders and investors and people rehabbing houses, and they gave me a shot, and it kind of just spread. You do a good job for one person, builders and investors are repeat business, and they start to tell each other. And before you knew it, I was representing a lot of the builders in the networks.
So my first year was 2020. I got my license literally like a month before the pandemic. And I had quit my job. I had spent 20 years as a consultant in like working with the C-suite of companies. And then all of a sudden I found myself like in a non-essential business and not allowed to do any work. So I was like, oh shoot, what do I do? So I just spent the time building a brand. And that's when I came up with the boss team and my goal of, what I wanted to do this year, next year, and the following year. I had to take money out of my 401k. And I was like, literally, how am I going to do this? So my first 6 months, by the time my real estate opened back up, I finally sold a house, and my first closing was like 6 months later. And I think I made like $6,000. But what was really interesting is that client wrote me a review, right? And the client said, JD gave us so much attention, I would have thought we were her only client. And I was like laughing because I'm like, I took him out for dinner a year later and I told him the truth. I said, you were my only client. But what I did was I just created a brand that was convincing so that when it opened back up, I got $12 million of leads off of social media the rest of that year, and I ended up with Gold Circle of Excellence. So I went from like zero to wow. And and then I just started, learning how to build leverage, like leverage my past sale, sharing it, using Reels, Instagram, and people really pay attention to that, and you become very convincing. I think you have to be humble, but you have to be confident at the same time, and that confidence convinces people to trust you, and then the rest of it just kind of flew from there.
So yeah, first year as a solo agent, I made a conscious decision that I was not going to start with a team. I felt that I really wanted to challenge myself, get out of my comfort zone and say, okay, well, if you go to a team, I had heard that maybe I'll be given leads and it's going to be super, easier than as a solo agent. And I thought, I don't want to go the easy route. I think I want to go the painful route. And it was painful a little bit, the beginning. It was a little bit painful in that, I realized that there were a lot of things I really didn't know. I had quit a career, a 20 plus year career in corporate America. I had been doing a lot of sales and marketing, but there was nothing. I mean, there was a little bit of an overlap with what I was doing in real estate, but not that much. It was completely a different industry, different market, everything. But I had this idea, and I said, you know what? I have to learn from the best. And that's what I started doing. I started going out and interviewing some very successful realtors and learning, what are they doing? What can I learn from them? What can they share with me? And that, I think, really helped me to really be where I am today, where last year was really like a phenomenal year, just, having started right before COVID. I feel that all this learning, education, a lot of trial and error, but also going for best practices really helped me build my business. And I'm still learning. I'm very curious. I still learning. I think that any money that you invest in coaching and training is so important because you're going to get the dividends out of it.
To answer your question, my first year sucked. And it was bad. It was boot camp. I mean, crawling through the mud under barbed wire, chased by dogs, like the whole thing. It was terrible. I mean, I came into the business out of the recession in 2013. Came out of it after a very successful career, doing 16 years doing Broadway shows. Musical theater. Anybody musical theater people background? Woohoo! Excellent. So I thought it was a perfect parallel, but slap of reality came, and boy, it is a lot harder that first year, even the second year. It's not easy. I'm just going to tell you the truth. But all it takes is one person to believe in you, to let you represent them in a sale as a buyer or a seller or whatever. And it takes your confidence level and makes you shoot right to the moon. And you can do this if you're in your first year and you are crawling under barbed wire through the mud. Know that it will get better. It's going to take a lot of discipline. It's going to take a lot of work, but you can do it. It's going to take just one transaction, and it's going to catapult you forward. So. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Gabby, I hope that makes you feel better because you've had like 4 closings in the past 2 months. So you're doing pretty well. No need to worry. You're going to be a rock star. Any other questions before we wrap up? We're good. We're ready for happy hour. All right. Guys, thank you so much for sharing today. Really appreciate you coming, really do. And I hope that you can join us upstairs for happy hour. So we're going to wrap it up. Jenna, are we doing the last raffle or? Okay, all right. So we'll have to maybe do that online. We'll do that online. And I did want to mention our team actually volunteers with Habitat for Humanity. We're doing a group build on October 28th. So if you're in New Jersey or the surrounding area, and I invite any of you to come join us, contact me and we'll put you on the list. We're looking to get about 25 people to come and do the build with us. It'll be in Essex County. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I will end with this. I was really blown away by the attendance today and how well received this conference was. And my intention with this conference was really pretty simple, and I hope that I achieved it. But I wanted to, inspire, impact, and inform, and I hope that I did. So thank you.